I've always been interested in telling a story of Abraham Lincoln. He's one of the most compelling figures in American history and in my life, certainly from childhood when I first was taken at I think 4 or 5 years old to see the Lincoln Memorial, and at first was terribly frightened by the immensity of the statue in the chair. And as I got closer and closer and closer, I was completely captivated. I felt by the comfort I found in looking at his visage, his face. And even white sculpture, there was a warmth and a safety. I felt really safe as a little boy looking at him. I never forgot that moment. And but when Doris told me during a Millennium Project that I was doing for CBS in the White House, and I asked her to come on my board to basically try to figure out what the last 100 years of the 20th century was like and how we could encapsulate that in a film. And I asked her what she was doing, and she said she was writing the story of the Lincoln presidency. And I immediately asked her, could I possibly, even before the book is written, reserve the movie rights. Virginia was the seat of the Confederacy, the capital of the Confederacy. It was the city in which the president of the Confederate States, Jefferson Davis, resided and basically ran the war through General Lee. We went there for many reasons, one of which was, the governor, Governor McDonnell, completely opened the doors, gave us basically the key to the city and made it very easy for us to come there and tell the story. I wanted everybody to feel there was a real sense of authenticity on the set, where the only real imposition would be that there was a camera and there were monitors, and that would be the only real imposition on the time period. So I simply asked the actors when they came onto the set not to kibitz, not to talk about, the book they were reading or sports scores or what was happening at home with their families. Save all that when you go outside of the space we're shooting in, but to bring a kind of respect to the story we're telling. When he spoke outdoors and he spoke the Gettysburg Address at the cemetery, his voice could carry over so many thousands of people. Why everybody during the second inaugural, 50,000 gathered, could hear everything he was saying. His voice was higher than anybody ever imagines. A figure that cut through history, like, cut a swatch of greatness through history, could have had a voice that was high. We did not want to be yet again another Lincoln portrait with the low stentorial voice. We wanted Lincoln to be accurate to the way he was, the way history tells us he actually sounded. Well, the movie is really an exercise in suspense. I mean, there's a lot of suspense in the film. It could be considered in part a political thriller. When Daniel came onto the set, he was Abraham Lincoln, not just to me, but to other actors in the scene and to the entire crew. And it was a gift that he gave all of us, and it was a gift that Tony Kushner gave to him to give to all of us. I believe that Lincoln's relevant today. I've always believed that trying to make sense of what actually happened in the past always helps to shape the present. And history is always relevant in the sense that understanding how we got to where we are will help figure out where we want to go from here. But specifically, Lincoln is relevant to the present because his presidency, I think, offers the most vivid model of leadership. I've always believed that trying to make sense of what actually happened in the past always helps to shape our present, and that history is always relevant in the sense that understanding how we got to where we are will help figure out where we want to go from here. And specifically, Lincoln is relevant to today, to the present, because his presidency, I believe, offers the most vivid model of a leader, of leadership. Lincoln advocated things we hold dear today. He advocated that government can be a positive force for the good of all people. He advocated that democracy requires fairness and compassion and education, and it requires a respect for law and racial, ethnic, and religious tolerance, and sometimes a good sense of humor.